So yeah, as I'm sure you all might have figured out by now, the DCEU version of Aquaman is an immensely powerful character with a ton of great feats under his belt. I mean, he's only been in 2 movies so far, technically 3 I guess, but even so, the guy's ripped through tons of parademons, took a punch from an enraged Superman no problem, and even went toe to toe with and wounded the new god Steppenwolf. You think that's enough to finally lift that massive Super Friends cloud that's been following him for years now?
Why am I still getting hate?
Seriously though, easily one of Aquaman's most impressive feats in the DCEU so far would have to be the one from relatively early on in his recently released solo movie. During an attempt to stop a group of pirates from hijacking what looks like an Aquila-class submarine, Aquaman actually lifted said submarine straight to the surface of the ocean. Holy shit, that is fucking crazy! Seriously, how strong would he need to be to do that? Well, let's take a look and find out. First things first, let's figure out the amount of drag, a type of friction for moving an object through a fluid, that Aquaman would have to overcome in lifting the submarine. Something we can do by plugging in the density of our chosen fluid, which in this case would be seawater, the speed Aquaman's moving the submarine at, the surface area of the submarine, and the drag coefficient into the drag equation. Now the density of seawater does vary from place to place depending on factors like salinity and depth, so just to be on the safe side, let's use the nice and easy average of 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter. As far as the surface area of the submarine goes, using some averages I found on the Aquila submarine's length and diameter, we can see that it have a surface area of about 1,443 square meters. And since these subs can dive to a maximum of 450 meters, and guesstimating that the actual feat goes on for about 30 seconds, this would mean Aquaman and the submarine were traveling at a speed of about 15 meters per second. Assuming a drag coefficient of 0.6, then that means Aquaman, while countering the effects of drag during his lift, was exerting a force of 97,402,500 newtons, or about 10,948 tons. Of course, heavy amounts of friction is only part of the story. Now we need to figure out the weight of the water he's lifting with the sub. See, when you move something underwater, you're not just moving whatever it is you're moving, you're also essentially shifting around a column of extra material. It doesn't just move to the side or whatever, there's more water in the way. That's part of the reason why it's so much harder to run or throw a punch or lift some weights or whatever underwater compared to doing any of those things at surface level. Like you're encountering more resistance from a more densely packed medium than you'd get from something like air. Seriously, next time you get in a pool or a tub or whatever, try kicking around or swinging your arms around underwater and see for yourself. Just be careful not to hit anybody. Anyways, it does seem like it'll be tricky figuring out how much water Aquaman's lifting, but thankfully though, this is actually pretty easy to figure out. All we need to know to find the volume of the water is the cross-sectional area of the submarine times the distance he lifts that submarine for, which, assuming an ellipsoid shape for the submarine, means that Aquaman also happened to be lifting an insane 509,850,000 liters or 560,835 tons of seawater. And now that we know that, we can finally add everything together and see how much Aquaman was lifting in this scene. Assuming a linear subweight of 7,500 tons, then that means that Aquaman, just in lifting a submarine, had to exert a force of about 579,283 tons. For comparison, remember how I estimated in my DCEU Superman video that the ship the Man of Steel was dragging in Batman v Superman weighed about 25,840 tons? Well, Aquaman being capable of lifting this submarine means he could lift about 22 of those ships. Holy shit! And keep in mind, he was able to spit out a casual one-liner almost immediately afterwards, so you know this was nothing for him.
Permission to come aboard.
God damn, this dude's fucking tough. Jeez, and here I thought Joblo was just messing around in their set report when they said that Atlanteans were about as strong as Kryptonians. Honestly, at this point, I'm just surprised that Black Manta, even in that Atlantean armor, could keep up with this guy. And even with all that having been said, keep in mind, we're still technically in the early days of the DCEU. We still have plenty of time to see this version of Aquaman get more and more powerful and pull off even more ridiculous feats of strength. But I guess we'll see what happens whenever Warner Brothers decides to get around to making a sequel. But anyways guys, that's my take on exactly how much Aquaman was lifting in that submarine scene from his solo movie. If you guys agreed with anything I said in this video, or you have your own calculations you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.